Welcome to the second episode of the Matamu 2 podcast. I'm your host, Rumak, and today we have a guest.
Hi.
Thanks for joining us today, Dorcas. Who are you? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Wait, you guy.
Kwani utaki kujiongelea?
What about myself?
Yeah, okay. Let's start it from here. Do you love food?
Definitely.
You really love food, yeah?
I do.
Okay. And does the work you do translate into food?
If it didn't, I wouldn't do it.
Okay, let me try and introduce my guest. She works on a farm. No, she doesn't work on a farm. She works with a farm. Yeah? Have I?
For a farm.
For a farm. Okay, she works for a farm. She is a very luminous PR and marketing executive. Very luminous. And today she's joining us. She's our first guest. Yay! We're so happy. We're so happy to have you here today. And today's topic is one that I know is rather controversial. Rather. Today we're going to talk about githeri. The Americans call it sacotash, which is a name
fancy
from one of those Indian tribes, Native American tribes, is what you need to say. But it's a very simple recipe in America. It's beans, sweet corn, and that's where they beat us. Because this is the hardest mahindi you can find in the world.
Uh-huh.
But then they'll have like sweet corn and some stuff, and it just tastes good. Like cherry tomatoes, and probably throw in some duck or something.
It's not githeri anymore.
It's not githeri.
That's not githeri anymore.
But now that recipe of theirs, since it is nowhere close to githeri, we can't call it githeri. But githeri, in one form or the other, appears in a lot of diets across the world. Maize has gone around since the Portuguese.
Yes.
We have to thank the Portuguese for that. So like everybody everywhere has a recipe where they just throw some maize and some beans in a pot and call it a meal.
Yeah.
And this githeri thing, back in high school they used to call it Murram.
Oh yeah.
And it's basically because of how the maize and the beans are
We can
dried.
tell where you went to school, eh? If you used to call it Murram.
See, we went to schools. We didn't go to groups of schools.
No, when I
just
went to
normal
school,
schools.
we used to call it Denga. That's how you know, by the way. Murram is quite fancy.
Ulikuwa unaenda Uchagania?
We're not talking about that here.
No, but a very constituent part of that whole dish was the weevils. It was not githeri if there wasn't some random weevils just floating about Aputu somewhere. Though I thank God that in high school I had braces. So I couldn't eat githeri because...
What was special diet?
What was special diet, do you? So, while everybody else was trying to chew on the rocks, because it was at some point it felt like it was more rocks than actual beans. Yeah. So while everybody's trying to chew on the rocks, I'm there with my maziwa and my ugali, and probably that's why I'm lactose intolerant now, because I think I had just way too much. But then the problem was that because they were only making it for a few people, the ugali would be like half done. It was just nasty. So I ended up always just having just the milk.
The milk.
And this is a growing boy. My friend, I was hungry. I was
forever
skinny.
hungry.
I was skinny. It was so terrible.
Uh-huh.
And I guess why githeri is popular is it's so cost effective.
It is.
Yeah, it's a very simple recipe. You just need maize and beans. Yeah. You don't need much else. Of course, there's people who will throw in things.
Yeah,
random things.
We'll talk about that.
But, it's a very simple, and these are two, especially like here in sub-Saharan Africa, these are two things that everybody panders. Everybody has a bit of maize in the garden. Everybody has a bit of beans in the garden. And it's very simple to just pick them up once they're dried, boil them in a pot, and then throw some salt on it and call it a meal. And I remember I think that was in primary school, my grandmother had this thing where she would make it in a clay pot. Mm-hmm. And there was nothing else. Just a little bit of mafta, maize, beans, and salt. And not even at the salt. It was up kumbali too. And it would slap. What? We would have this at lunchtime because grandma was tired of cooking for all these children. So just eat like like they have nothing else to do in this world. So we'd have it at lunchtime with some strong tea. Oh my God. It was so good. Try that now. Nah. Miss me with that. Miss me with that. And I'm sure if you go to very many neighborhoods here in Nairobi, you'll find somebody with an aluminium pot. Now it's aluminium. It's not ceramic the way it used to be. Yeah. You'll find somebody with an aluminium pot and they've boiled githeri since 5 in the morning. And now it's evening and they're selling it to people by the cup at like, is it 10 bob?
But what does it need to be boiled for that long?
Now, I'm sure you've witnessed the process of drying maize.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and maize once it's dry, like getting the moisture back in to make it edible.
That is it.
Yeah. It's
it's for the maize, not for the beans.
It's not for the beans. Most people who actually make good githeri will boil the maize first by itself, and then now karanga with the beans badai.
Okay.
But then there's those people who just kila kitu pamoja. Which you end up with githeri where you take a bite and the beans just go into mush and then the maize is just there staring at you.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not fun. So let's move this on to the weirdest forms of githeri. Which is a weird form of githeri that you've had?
Weird form of githeri. I think it's that combination of maize beans, the githeri.
Yes.
That has waru. We're not even started.
That was just the beginning.
Yeah, it has waru, it has carrots, and then skuma.
Wow.
Not cabbage.
Wow.
Skuma.
Okay.
In there.
It kind of sounds like it would be tasty.
It is not. There is nothing you can do to maize and beans to make it tasty.
The Americans would.
That is not maize. That is not maize. It's sweet corn.
It's sweet corn.
Yes. It's a different combination
Or
altogether.
it's fresh corn, like they just take it from the cob and put it in there.
Because actually remember in school, like a special day was when they threw cabbage in there.
Wow.
Like that was the day. Top player. Top player for cabbage slapped differently. So now out here was where I've tested, like githeri that has carrots and skuma. I'm like, by the way, you need to stop.
Just
stop.
Yeah? Kill it with fire.
Stop. Just stop.
Kill it before it has babies.
I don't know what tastes in there. Like already skuma on its own. Like it's not even the other type of greens.
No.
It's skuma. Like skuma on its own is already.
It's quite bitter.
Very tough. Like you guys.
I don't know why.
Yeah, and then now the combination with githeri. I'm like, by the way.
Cannot.
Yeah.
Can't.
Yeah.
No, I think our mothers, and I think this is a Nairobi thing. Our mothers back in the 90s discovered that they could do groundnuts instead of. It's usually wairimo, or is it rose cocoa that they do?
Rose cocoa,
yeah. So our mothers discovered they could do groundnuts instead of rose cocoa, and so we started having githeri with the groundnuts. It is the weirdest thing in the world.
Wait, what? Instead of the beans, there's
no beans. It's maize and groundnuts. It was the weirdest thing in the world. And my mom took it up a notch. I love my mother, but her food experiments, my God.
She needs to slow down, huh?
My mother would buy wheat, just normal wheat, like the Ngano. Yeah. Now, instead of taking it to the posho mill and making unga and then we make chapati, my mother would boil the wheat with the beans and call that githeri. My friend. There were days. Those were the days. Those are the days you come back from playing. You're just like, can we go? Can I just go to Nani's house? I'll be back. Because at least there's food.
Yeah.
My mother would call that githeri. Can you imagine? And she's till this day she really loves githeri.
Yeah.
So I personally, from high school, I hate githeri with a passion. Passion.
Yeah.
But now whenever I'm home, I just have to eat githeri. There's no 3 days.
There has to be githeri at home.
There has to be githeri. The good thing is that at least there's avocado. Mm-hmm. That's the saving grace. And which reminds me of the one person who had power back in high school was the avocado seller. That person was in charge of making sure afternoons were good or bad. Because if they didn't show up with avocados at lunchtime,
an outsider or someone from
I think she was the wife to one of the cooks.
Yeah.
She would bring in avocados every lunchtime. And like if you want the first people to buy avocados, you would not get any because it was, law of supply and demand. She kept the supply low to keep the demand high. So and it wasn't much money, it was like each avocado was like 10 bob.
10 bob?
Yeah.
Should have made it 30. Make a kill once and for all,
But if you look at it this way, she would sell around 300 avocados
a day.
Uh-huh. I don't even know where she was getting them from because where do you get 300 avocados?
For all of them to be ripe to be eaten that day.
And okay, of course, there were a few that you will get that are not all that and whatnot, but like 300 avocados. And daily.
For all the 4 years you were in school.
Imagine that. Like I want to know where her supply was coming from because my God, those people could supply. And this avocado seller, if she did not show up, people would be angry the rest of the day because they did not have their githeri with avocado.
Githeri was a daily meal.
We had githeri every day except Tuesdays and Saturdays.
Yeah, you went to a fancy school. You went to a very fancy
very fancy.
Ours was daily. Monday to Friday. And Friday...
Hey, Friday!
Hey.
Hello!
Monday to Monday. And on Friday it was twice.
Wow.
Both lunch and
dinner.
Both.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
I'm very scared by githeri.
I'm so sorry. No
when
wonder
I
you
say
don't
I
like
cannot.
it.
By choice, unless by force. Unless I know.
No, at least for us it was on
Tuesdays.
On Tuesdays and Saturdays we would have rice for lunch. So, but then the thing that was there was ugali. And as a listener, I hope that you're going to keep it with this podcast because we're going to talk about ugali in another few episodes, and it's going to be interesting. So make sure that you listen in. A very weird form of githeri that somebody told me about recently is swapping out the rose cocoa for njahe.
That is very common.
Imagine, it sounds like it will slap like a silverback gorilla.
That's a nice one.
Me actually want to try it out.
Yeah, but for real, it's a thing.
Is it?
Aye. It's a thing.
Where are these things? And why am I not there?
Would you eat it if it was njahe instead?
I think I would. But then again, njahe made by me because there's people, not everybody knows how to make njahe. Let's just be honest.
When njahe has a formula. Njahe
iko na formula. There are people who, and that's why njahe gets such a bad rap because people make it in very weird ways. And we're actually going to talk about njahe later in this season. So please, guys, I need you to just keep it with me because it's going to be also a very controversial topic. I know that everybody else thinks that njahe is the worst thing in the world. But now, just to bring it to a close, let's talk about you for a little bit. What's your favorite thing to eat?
Waru, in all its forms.
Including vodka?
That too. But you asked to eat, yeah? To eat. Waru in all its forms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice. What's the one thing that you, since the pandemic began, what's the one thing that's been your go-to meal?
Waru.
Just waru.
It's that thing. Like, I feel like waru is the most versatile thing.
But it truly is.
I'll mash it up, eat it with, some greens.
Yes.
With some meat. Fry it, make some roast, make some fries, and then put some minji in there, make some mokimo. Waru is just,
You know the one waru recipe that really slaps, and this is a precursor to our episode that is going to come 2 episodes from now. We're going to talk about waru and a waru recipe that slaps like nothing else.
Yes.
Kuna ile waru unaweka waru minji, cabbage. And then kabif. Nasiati mingi. Kombali. For the stock.
Yeah.
With a hot chapo. The end. That is it. It's the best.
Yes.
And we're going to have very many more of these discussions about waru in another 2 episodes. So please make sure that you're following. This podcast is available everywhere. And you can give me your feedback on my Instagram and my Twitter handles. That is @Rumac, REUMAC. I'm going to be posting up a few snippets and teasers for the coming episodes. And that is actually the end of this episode about githeri. Are we sad or are we happy? Dum.
Happy to get githeri out of the way.
Thank you so much, Dorcas, for joining us for the Matamutu podcast. I'm your host, Rumak. It's been a blast. Keep it real, keep it clean, and don't have Gideri, please. Please, just don't.
Matamutu.